Good evening. My name is Susan Jolie, and I live at 7503 Walton Lane, and I presently serve as president of the Hummer Woods Civic Association, representing approximately 250 families on either side of Hummer Road. We urge the Planning Commission to adopt the recommendation of your professional staff and decline to add this nomination to the work program. The residential property included within the scope of this nomination is an integral part of a neighborhood that simply cannot support high-density development. This nomination is not a dog with fleas that can be rescued with further study. It's a rabid animal terrorizing our communities, and the only reasonable governmental response is to kill it now. We fully support the current comprehensive plan. At page 36, it states that any northward expansion of the present commercial business, community business center should be foreclosed. There's an explanation for this. The proposed nomination, the density that's proposed here, would fundamentally degrade the surrounding residential communities, cause irreparable environmental damage, drastically increase traffic hazards, create on-street parking congestion, destroy the distinctive rural character of our neighborhood, and undermine efforts to promote desirable development where it belongs, which is in downtown or central Annandale Business District. I've offered in my testimony, my written testimony, many graphics which I was unable to present to you in person tonight. The first, figure 1, is 5 images, which are our constructions based on the submission and accurately scale depictions of what this development will look like. To clear up some misconception, none of the current low-rise commercial structures, businesses that line Little River Turnpike or Hummer Road are included in this nomination. And the second figure that I direct your attention to is an aerial view. It dramatically illustrates that the two largest structures with the residential units, buildings A and B, would be constructed on lots that are now zoned for the lowest density residential use. Virtually all the complex consists of is impervious surface that will generate pollution and runoff in very close proximity to the Cub branch of the Aquatink Creek. That passes under the street, Hummer Road, about 1 block north of the end of the development, proposed development. You can visualize with this aerial overview why the staff recommended against further study. This obviously extends the commercial use into residential property, encroaches on the residential property. There's no buffer, and the orientation of the project is not toward Little River Turnpike. The comprehensive plan at page 7 prioritizes the preservation of ecological resources. And we think that's an important consideration when you look at the nomination and its relationship to our neighborhood. Our adjacent county parks are at risk. The neighborhoods that will be impacted play a vital role in the ecosystem that includes 2 major parks. The 53-acre Annandale Park, which has the Hidden Oaks Nature Center, and the Manassas Gap Railroad Line and Heritage Site and Park. The surface waters from the residential properties nourish mature trees and support an array of wildlife. And many residents, in fact, get water from wells that are fed by natural underground water system. In some areas, we have subdivisions, early subdivisions, with deed restrictions that have restricted the size of the lots. So they also tend to be narrow and very deep. So as a result, you have a situation, unlike most suburban development within the Beltway, where there are few roads and extensive tracts of natural woodlands. The natural surroundings help fortify the wildlife. We have a wide variety of wildlife, and our residents value the natural surroundings, and therefore they voluntarily preserve large portions of their land in natural state. Together, we think we have the largest area of natural woodlands within the Beltway, taking into account the contributions of private landowners. We also have stormwater issues. The system for stormwater is handled basically by a system of natural streams, and there are easements that require homeowners to keep their property in a natural condition. Taken together, these large natural drainage areas do supply, connect to, and protect the area in the Manassas Gap Park and Annandale Park. When it rains, we've experienced water levels within this natural water drainage system that has contributed to erosion and flooding. Further study would merely confirm the comprehensive plan conclusion that high-density mixed-use development should not be sited in such close proximity to this natural environment. Infrastructure to support high-density development is lacking. There are relatively few roads, and most are hilly, windy, and narrow, with limited sight lines, no shoulders, no gutters, no sidewalks. And residents want to keep the rural feel of this neighborhood. We use the roadways to walk, run, bike, and walk our animals. The nomination papers state that a traffic study is mandatory because a minimum, I underscore minimum, of 5,000 vehicular trips per day would be added by the proposed development. Because our streets do not meet VDOT standards for this volume of traffic, millions of dollars would have to be spent potentially to clear trees, install stormwater drainage systems, straighten curves, adjust the grade, pour concrete, and pave area roads, in short order to destroy the character of the neighborhood, to handle this high-density traffic that the development would create. No further study is required because we do not currently need or want these improvements, and taxpayers should not be burdened with the costs of constructing roadways that are required to make residents safe because too much density was added to a neighborhood that could not sustain that level of traffic. Congestion will overwhelm our neighborhood. With some exceptions, roads do not allow for on-street parking. But when you have insufficient parking and so much density added in a small footprint, there will be necessarily an expansion of on-street parking. And adding so many additional parked and moving vehicles to the neighborhood will result in gridlock that impacts not only those roads, but also traffic on the Beltway. Added traffic poses a safety threat to drivers, pedestrians, and bikers. We will definitely experience more cut-through traffic if this proposal is acted upon in any manner. Sight lines are obstructed. Cars cannot see walkers or joggers around the bend or over the hill. We offer a couple photos to show you how trucks routinely block a lane to deliver goods because there's no parking on the shoulder, and also that there are dedicated bike lanes, but they sometimes extend between areas that permit parking and the street, and for reasons that are explained in great detail in submissions that we've made already, the bikers will either be injured or killed, or the lanes will not be used. By agreement with VDOT, Hummer Road is and will continue to be limited to 2 lanes. These conditions cannot be fixed no matter how much further study is devoted to that subject. The design deficiencies in the proposed nomination are extensive and evident. I could spend a lot of time on them, but I suspect some of my neighbors will elaborate. I just want to point out that we've offered in my testimony Figure 10, a color-coded key to the drawing on page 11 of the nomination. Let me briefly tick off the problem areas. On Horseshoe Drive, which is to be conduit for the traffic off Hummer Road, is 30 feet wide and 750 feet from the congested Little River Turnpike. Woodland Road, the other access on the other side of the development, is similarly small road. Limited access, it's marked by the stars in the diagram we've offered, will produce gridlock and traffic backups extending to the Beltway exit and beyond. Residents will be landlocked because of the proximity to the complex and the traffic that will be generated. Loading docks are situated on residential streets, so traffic and bikes would be blocked for every time that a truck had to back up. With this kind of density, we're talking about all day long. There are only 41 on-site surface parking spaces, so we're going to have traffic backup on site as drivers circle around looking for spaces, and that can definitely impact the service road and the congestion that's already being experienced there, and adversely impact the businesses that are still there to serve the community. There's insufficient clearance for emergency vehicles on the site plan. A very short distance from Woodland Road are the entrances to parking garages. So you only go a few feet, and then you're supposed to get into a parking garage that might be full, and again, backup and traffic congestion will necessarily result from design features in this plan. So high-density mixed-use development at this site on these plans has insurmountable problems, and no amount of study is going to fix much of this. The site has already been studied. Any further study would be an unjustifiable waste of the county's resources. Your professional planning staff has told you it is a waste of their time. We believe that resources should be focused on promoting redevelopment in those areas of Annandale that are already paved over and have the necessary infrastructure to support greater density. A prospective developer of a central Annandale site may not be able to find funding because the market would appear to be saturated as long as this nomination plan is still on the books. If this nomination is added to the work plan, it tells me either the staff has to be added at an unnecessary cost to taxpayers, or that other projects of more value must be sidetracked. And that's to the detriment of work that could be done potentially in Annandale or throughout the county. Either way, adding a work plan and affecting your resources in this manner is poor management. If a proposed project cannot be defended on the merits of the documents that were submitted, then it deserves to be rejected. And we understand the task force was apparently seduced by the idea of doing something, anything, in Annandale. But wishful thinking is not consistent with sound planning or good government. If the developer had intentions of acquiring the commercial buildings at Front Little River Turnpike and Hummer Road, then surely he would have included the parcels within the scope of this nomination. Their exclusion means the developer has not pursued this plan, or cannot, because there are others who do not wish to cooperate with him. Either way, a wishing that something would happen does not make it so. The planning process is supposed to identify the type of use that is appropriate for individual areas and to promote smart growth in the right location. The comprehensive plan and staff recommendation are absolutely correct because they are based on solid research into the characteristics and needs of our unique neighborhood. Please vote to accept the recommendation of your professional staff and decline to add this nomination to the work program. We thank you.